So step 4, 5 and 6. Step 4 is the attachments. Some heavy vehicles are required to attach mandatory attachments, for example, third-party approvals. So if you exceed, I believe, 5 metres in height, you need to ensure that the NHVR cites at least one third-party approval before we can issue the permit, so ensuring that you attach that. But also, attachments are also a great example of how you can provide that additional information and clarification. So I've just got some examples here of what would be really beneficial to the regulator or to the road manager. So I've got third-party approvals. In New South Wales, you can attach your roads and maritime certificate of approved operations, which I believe is like a vehicle standards certificate. You can attach a heavy vehicle inspection report, a weighbridge ticket, IAP certificates. You can even attach a picture of your heavy vehicle. So if you are going to be submitting an application for a prime mover and special purpose trailer, it sometimes is a good idea, if it's going to be something that's sort of outside of the box, just to attach a picture of the heavy vehicle. By all means, I'm not suggesting that you go out and specifically obtain these documents, but if you do have these documents just as part of the process for your heavy vehicle, something that you've had to obtain in the past, whether it's for a vehicle standards process or an IAP process, by all means, if you have them accessible, you can then attach them to your application to support that application and provide additional information. Some other examples just off the top of my head here, and as I sort of mentioned earlier on in today's training, if you do have registration documentation that you need to attach in order to clarify something, by all means attach your vehicle registration document. Also in New South Wales and possibly in some of the other states, a transport management plan, a TMP. So if you know that you need to attach that for Roads and Maritime Service, RMS, to site before they will consider your consent, by all means, yes, attach that TMP up front here to avoid any backwards and forwards later on in the process. So they are just some examples of what would be applicable and supportive attachments to your application. Any previous permits that you've had that may expire. And there's just so much that could be attached to your application that would really support it. So I'm just going to jump back now to my training environment of the NHVR portal and moving on to step 4 of the application. Oh, and I've missed something. Oh, that's okay. We'll go to step 4. So for a Class 1 application, and sometimes even your Class 3 applications, you will receive this third-party consent spiel, just letting you know that you are required under the law to obtain all of the relevant third-party approvals, and you must tick that to say that you understand. Then it gives you an option to attach your third-party consents, if applicable, in this section here. So very simple, just selecting the Add File button. It will take you to your documents, and you can then select the applicable document. Any additional files and supporting documentation for this application goes into this last section here. It doesn't really matter where it fits in, just as long as it's attached. So once again, just selecting Add File and then going through your documents in this pop-up box here, locating the correct document and then attaching it. So for this example, I might attach our NHVR writing style quick guide. So it will accept PDFs, Excel spreadsheets, pictures, even if you save like an Outlook email and attach it in there, Word documents. So all of the common, most frequently used documents it will accept, and it will accept multiple. So it's just about selecting that one, going back in and Add File and finding and locating the next one and attaching it. Okay. So as I said, it's all about getting in the required documentation, like a third-party approval or a TMP document, but also anything that would support this application. By all means, if you have access to it, please attach it as support. Okay. But that is as easy as it is for the attachments in step 4 of the application process. So I'm just going to select Next here. So we just finished off our demonstration of step 4, the attachments. Moving on to step 5, once again, a very simple step is the contact details. Now, hidden within the contact details, not only are you able to ensure that the contact person for the application is accurate, but you also have an overall additional comments field. Okay, very, very important for the entire application. If you have any additional supporting comments, and I once again give you that perspective of the regulator and the road manager can only see this application, whereas you as the customer or the operator knows everything that you need to do for this particular journey and heavy vehicle. It's about adding that information in so both the regulator and the road manager can view it to further understand what you require and what you need out of this application. So I'm just going to jump now back to the training environment of the portal and under step 5 here. So you can see we've got a customer contact person. So it is always going to default to me because I'm logged into the portal. That's what it's going to be. Now, maybe I'm just the admin person, and for further questions like additional information requests, or if somebody needs to call the customer to confirm some additional information, if it's going to be my boss, I need to make sure my boss, as an example, is registered as a user to this account, and then I need to select them as the ongoing contact person for this application. So most times, and quite commonly, it's going to just be yourself as a person who submitted the application. You're going to continue to view and check the progress of this application and be the contact person for this application. But if it is going to be somebody else, it's just ensuring that they are a user and then just selecting that user from the drop-down list there. And of course, you can see there you can't actually update their phone and their email, and that's why it's so important that each of those users updates their information within their own profile. So below that, you can see the additional comments field. As I was saying, it's about adding in as much information as you can as the customer to help the regulator and to help the road managers better understand your needs as a customer, and also provide that additional information to support the assessment of this application. And once again, that's a free text field where you have quite a bit of space there to add in as much information as you can. Okay, so I'm just going to select Save at the bottom of the page before we move on to our next step, which is the last step, step 6, confirmation. So we've just completed step 5, which is the contact details of the application. So now moving on to step 6, confirmation. It's under this particular step that all you need to do is really check that all of the information you've supplied through steps 1 to 5 is correct and everything looks in order before submitting the application. So important notes, just some important things that I always like to advise the customer to make sure are accurate on the application, because these are our most common reasons for additional information requests. So making sure the axle mass and spacings are correct, that you have the exact start and finish locations, the exact and correct turn-by-turn description, including heavy vehicle bypasses, and also ensuring that all of your additional supporting comments or attachments are in there and are visible, of course. So I'm just going to jump now to the confirmation demonstration and back to the training environment of the portal. You can see I'm currently at step 6, the confirmation, and as you can see there, it's giving me the complete view of all of the information I have just added as a part of this application. So really taking a bit of time now here to make sure everything is accurate with my mass and dimensions. You'll also see here under the loaded axle mass and spacings that it's actually put it in the format now of a easy to read table. So definitely spend a bit of time here and make sure everything makes sense in regards to spacings, mass, tyre sizes, steerable axles, so on and so forth. So make sure that's all accurate. Vehicle list, registration, so you've seen there I've just selected on that heading to expand that information, making sure all the registration details look good. period permit, making sure all of that is the correct information. It's given me just a quick picture of my route, so not too much detail, but I am sort of getting the right idea there. Attachments, I can see all of the attachments I've added, the contact details and the additional comments there as well. So it's giving me now the amount for the application, which is actually the wrong amount. So I believe the application price is now $74. So we're still quite behind in the training environment for the pricing. The last thing I need to do here, as long as all of that information is correct, I just need to select the last two disclaimer and confirmation tick boxes. So that's, I declare that I have read and agreed to the NHVR portal terms and conditions. So you can just select on there and it will take you to the terms and conditions. The last one here, which is probably the most important, I hereby declare that all details provided in this application are true and correct. Knowingly making a false statement to the NHVR may attract significant penalties under the Heavy Vehicle National Law. So really what you're saying there is all of the information I've just entered into this application is accurate. It's exactly what I need. And as long as you don't have any red up the top of your application here, you can select Submit New Application and it will take you onto the payment details. If there is anything that is incorrect at this point here, when you are reviewing it, it's just about going back to the correct section of that application, back to the correct field, and just updating that detail. Okay. Selecting Save. So you are able to jump to and sort of jump around your application here, but it is probably the most easiest to progressively move through it. So you can see there I've got an issue with my route details. It's flagging as red. It's not actually going to allow me to submit my application.
Athena, we just had a quick question just in regards to routing. Would you please be able to demonstrate how to actually save the Journey ID code so you can use the exact same route for multiple applications?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just going to jump back to my training environment now. It's a very, very excellent point. And back to my Route 3 here. So pretty much as soon as I save this application, you can see that it gives me a Route ID code. Okay, so I can immediately take that code and start to utilize it in other applications. Also, if I do have a saved spreadsheet somewhere of Route ID codes, I can also select this Get Route ID. Okay, so if I'm going to apply for the exact same route just for multiple different cranes and multiple heavy vehicles, before you even plot any of this stuff, you can select Get Route ID and just paste in the route details there. And it will then retrieve all of that information. So it's an excellent point, whether you've taken that from another application, and I'll be able to show you also, that's just in the application process. But if I go to my case tracker, and I enter into any of these applications, any previous applications, just under the case details tab here, scrolling down, under each map, it will also give you the route ID code. So if you need to go into a previously completed route or just any previous case or ongoing case, you'll also be able to get just the route ID code from the case, and under the case details tab, under the screenshot of the map there, you'll always get the route ID code. So just going back into the application now, entering back into my draft application, going to my route tab, and if this was completely blank, so let's just say it's like that, and I can select Get Route. So route ID, application from the previous application it was applied for, load route, and you can see there I've got my details. Now that will also include any changes you've made to the exact start or finish location. So all of that time you've spent making sure that this is a really accurate, rock solid application, you can start to utilize that Get Route ID to really ensure that you're shortcutting the route process, or the step 3 of the application, which is the route details, but also ensuring that you're bringing across all of that great level of additional information that you've previously put in your application. Do we have any other questions, Edith?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, so hopefully that was able to show you how you can really shortcut the route details, or step 3 of the application process. So that really finishes off the application process. The next thing we're going to look